Mm, mm-mm,
Or because if
mm.
we have a show coming up that's just us, then we can talk about it then. Or if you want to do it in the weekend review today, we can mention it today. However you want to go with it.
Yeah, our next show, that would be you with when we're discussing the train in March, and our
Oh,
next just us show is in April.
oh, well, no, I don't think we need to wait that long.
Mm-mm.
Do you?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Okay, so we'll talk. We can talk. You can talk about it tonight in your weekend review portion. You're first up.
Oh shoot. Okay.
So will that be okay?
Yeah, when do we want submissions, or do we just want to say stay tuned?
I think we can say stay tuned because I don't think we had a date.
Mm-mm.
So we can just let folk know that it is coming, so that
Okay,
they can kind of be prepared if they want to participate.
sure.
And yeah, we can do it that way. I think that'll be fine. And
Okay.
All
you'll
righty.
go first, Victoria. You'll go, then I'll go on
What,
the
a
Sure.
weekend review?
weekend review.
Oh, okay, sure. Sure, sure, sure.
Okay. And then you'll come back with the first part of Christopher's bio.
Okay.
The second, we'll go to the graphic. And Ruth, then you'll come in and welcome our guest for the evening.
All right, everybody, it is that time.
All
All
right,
right.
So I'll get out of
Thanks,
your way.
Alan.
Have a great show.
thank you, sir. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Authors Up. I'm here with my co host, Victoria Henderson Poole,
Hello.
and Miss Ruth Griffin.
Hi.
Okay, glad to have you.
Glad to be here. One more
Absolutely.
again.
That's it. That's it. Marcia Marcellus, good evening to you, lady. Glad to have you in the house tonight. And Francina, we see that you're in the house. Always glad to have you. Linda Cooks is in the
Yeah.
house. Then our South Carolina connection,
Hey,
Angie
Angie.
Oliphant, is there. Good evening to you, Angie. Glad to have you in the house tonight. I hope everybody has had a good week. I hope everybody has been safe today. We had storms all around us, but we still got power. Hallelujah. Thank
Amen.
you, Jesus.
Amen.
We are still moving along okay. We have a great guest with us tonight. I am excited about being able to interview him and have him tell you about his book. It is an amazing story, and I'll just leave it there for now because you're going to get to meet him in just a few minutes. But we're going to start off like we always do, and that's with our week in review. And we're going to start with you tonight, Miss Ruth. What's been going on with you since last we met?
Let's see what's been going on with me. I got back to work. So after being sick,
That's
had to
right.
get back to that schedule, which is a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. So, um,
Hmm.
yeah, no, I'm not that type of person who hits a snooze, but I was doing that this week. So,
Bless your
Mhm.
heart.
still working on that and still, kind of recovering from last week's show.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
So,
yes, yes.
You know, y'all gonna start talking bad about me.
You know, I'm not talking bad. I just said recovering from last week's show. Obviously, it was fun and it was different than what we normally do. And, you know, if you didn't catch it, you can certainly go to our YouTube page and catch it there. So,
You would want to catch
yes,
that.
it was special. It really was. And,
Yes,
you
it
know,
was.
we
Yes, it
we were happy to celebrate with our host, our co-host Andrea, and we were happy to I don't know what the right word would be, but enjoy the party. Thank you
Yes, we
to
had a good party.
Victoria.
Yes.
So yes, yes. Yeah, there we you know, we did start off talking about what we would do this year. Never quite got to that. Um I'm just going to mention a couple of things and you know as we go along through the year, you know, just stay tuned. You know, we're going to be bringing the tips back. So
Yep.
starting next week, we'll have one of those and we're going to be doing an anthology soon.
Yes. I'm
That's right.
excited about that.
So,
I'm excited about that.
yes. So stay tuned for more information. You know, obviously there'll be a graphic out there. There'll be more information as we go along. But yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. And Victoria?
Well, I'm gonna keep it short. I too was recovering. I actually didn't go to work until Monday following the holiday because I was sick as well.
Mhm.
So I went to work this past week and it was challenging to say the least. But the biggest thing that I know wants to know about is my laptop. Thank you, Marsha. It was fun and I had a lot of joy and laughter too. But those of you who didn't watch the show last week, in my excitement, my bubbles spilled on my laptop and it just said shoo, it just took me out the show. So I was very upset about my bubbles getting the, whatever. And I'd like to tell you that immediately after the show, and I prayed and laid hands on the laptop and put the laptop in
Mhm.
the rice, as one of our guests suggested. I put the whole laptop in rice. It didn't happen that way. But God, in his infinite wisdom, I learned a lesson about this whole thing. That sometimes when you pray for things, it doesn't immediately happen. You know, your healing doesn't always come right away. So what had happened was I
See,
went to work and I asked the guy to check about my laptop, and he said, Victoria, just give it a couple days. And so every day I'm turning the laptop on. I'm impatient. Every day I'm turning the laptop on. But it was on the third day that when I turned the laptop on, something about that third day, y'all, right?
Rose.
Woo! Oh, hallelujah. Okay. All right. So, but what
stop,
I learned,
stop.
what I learned was that sometimes the things that you pray for don't always happen right away. I'm being truthful. I'm being really serious. She's laughing, but it's the truth. I learned that about my own healing. Even with my fibromyalgia, I'm hurting a lot, but sometimes the healing is not going to happen right away, but it's coming. So I'm happy to report that I am using the laptop that I spilled the bubbles on. That's it. That was my week in review. Praise the Lord.
And the bubbles are where now?
Way across the room. And my water is right like here on the side of me. There's no chance that's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Praise God. Hi, Lynn.
Good evening to you, Lynn. Hey, sir.
It has risen. There you go. Come on. I knew somebody out there was going to praise God with me. It has risen.
Okay. Andrea, how was your week?
I really I gotta get this out because I said I was not going to I said I was going to be nice. That's what I said, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to be very nice. I thank you, ladies, yet again, and I do thank the listening audience because you left last week. Really was fun. It was very much unexpected. You guys said you were hijacking the show. That's exactly what you did.
Yes.
And I thank you for it. I really, really thank you for it. My last week was filled with joy and laughter and birthday wishes and things about books and all of that. And I'm so excited about our guest, who I believe this is his first work of fiction. and I'm getting ready to come out with my first work of fiction. So there's some things I think we might share in that process. But I had an excellent week. I'm still health wise, I'm not quite there. I cannot wait until I am 100% again. But I tell you what, when we get together and we have the ability to meet new people and read new stories and have our guests and our listeners come together, then it does my heart good.
Yes.
So I had a good week, and we're looking forward to getting our pre-order date together, because some folks have asked me about that. So we'll be coming out with that date very, very soon, and you all will be able to pre-order your book.
Yes.
And I'm just excited. I'm excited all the way around. And as much as I love Queen Victoria, the fact that she does not have her crown on tonight does not disturb me at all. Not at all.
I'm still the queen. Still the
Yes,
queen.
we know. Oh, yes, we know. But it really was a good week for me. And I think all of us have been battling some kind of sickness here in these first few days of the year. But look out, guys, because when we come back, when all three of us are 100%, you know, it's going to be something exciting. It's going to be something really.
It's going to be a good year. I'm looking forward to it.
But tonight we have a guest, and we're going to get started with Victoria's going to tell you a little bit about him, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more. And then we're going to go to a little break, and then Ruth is going to officially welcome our guest and introduce him to our listeners. So, Victoria, why don't you go ahead?
All right. Christopher Kay is a 25-year professional in the field of higher education administration. He serves as Associate Dean of Student Affairs at Santa Barbara City College and holds degrees from State University of New York at Cobleskill, Southbury University, Boston College, and a joint doctorate of education from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and California Polytechnic State University. His dissertation was entitled Characteristics of High Achieving, Low and Moderate Income African Descent College Students. His career spans from the East Coast to the West Coast, working at Lemoyne College, Syracuse University, the University of California, Santa Barbara, UCSB, and currently at Santa Barbara City College.
He is the immediate past president for a local nonprofit, the Endowment for Youth Committee, EYC. This mission of EYC is to unlock the full potential of young African American boys and men by providing opportunities that maximize shared community, prosperity, and personal growth goals and objectives. Christopher has written over 10 screenplays. I want to say that again. Christopher has written over 10 screenplays, as well as served as producer and executive producer for movies such as White Boy Brown and Pocketful of Nickels by Sean Sawyer, and script supervisor editor for Blood Resonance by Michael White and Snake by Luis Cabrera. This is his first full-length novel. We're going to take a brief break, and when we return, Ruth's going to welcome our guest for the evening, Mr. Christopher Kay.
right. Well, welcome, Christopher.
Thank you so much for that intro. Wow, it makes me feel so special.
You are special.
Are.
Well, we're glad we could give you a warm welcome, and it looks just by the window in your screen that you're a lot warmer than maybe the rest of us are. So
Maybe. I'm not going to divulge anything, but maybe just a little bit warmer.
that's all right. That's all right. One of us should have some sort of nice view like that. So, um, tell us about your book.
Sure. Yeah. So I wrote a novel, and I probably, kind of came about in the midst of COVID and just a whole bunch of self-isolation. It's called Spare Change. It's a fictional reality of coming-age story about a young urban gang member, actually, who found his passion in economics and used it, who uses new discovery skill to change the landscape of his community. Funny enough, it really is the background of the story is based in a little bit of truth. When I lived in Syracuse, New York, I did know a gang member who actually was going to the community college. I don't know what he was studying, anything like that, but I put together this fictional story about like, hey, what it would mean if somebody actually took this and changed the landscape of the community. So it goes up and down. It dives in and out of different stories. There's some intrigue and there's some murder and crime in there. There's a bunch of different things, but it comes back to the idea. There's even a love story in there too, but it comes back to the idea of changing the landscape. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you said when did you start writing it?
probably in 2020. So, I think everything shut down. The world shut down around March 2020. And I think right after that, I started getting really bored in my apartment and started getting a little bit tired of Netflix and everything like that. And I was like, I'm going to do something different with my time. So probably right around the middle of 2020, this summer, I said, I'm going to dive into a story. And obviously with writing, a lot of you know this. My first few bits of writing was just absolute garbage. I didn't know what I was doing. And I'd have to admit that, funny enough. And I got some feedback and actually ended up taking a few courses at the City College, learning about fiction writing and what it means to, write either third person or first person. And finally, the revisions, because we all know writing is rewriting, right? I had to learn that the hard way. Like, okay, man, I have to write this thing again and again and get some feedback and write it again. So long story short is it was written throughout 2020 and maybe revising again in 2021.
Okay, so you made really good use of your time in the pandemic.
I'm telling you.
That's awesome. So how has the reception been for your book?
It's interesting. I was just telling you earlier, my mother actually told me she was reading the book and she's on chapter 10, but she hasn't told me what she thought about it. So I'm always curious of what people, when they read it, what they think about it. And people mostly, for the most part, give me good feedback. Then you also have those critical, readers, and I'm sure you're as well. When they say, hey, there's some punctuation errors, or I don't quite follow the storyline, or things like that. But for the most part, the reception has been really good, and I'm just excited about the writing process. And a wonderful gift to me is to be in a Zoom room with you three accomplished authors to learn from and glean from amazing writers. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Now, in your bio, you state that you are also a screenwriter. Now, you have a background in academia, but you're a screenwriter, and now you're an author. So, have you always enjoyed writing, or did you just kind of fall into it, or you just, you feel you naturally progressed from school to screen to book?
I don't think there was any natural progression. So I did study English in college. I went to Salisbury University in Maryland. So I'm from the East Coast. I'm a New Yorker. I heard Queen Victoria say she's in New York.
I don't encourage her.
I heard her
I'm from New York.
Well, I heard her say water earlier, and I was like, "Oh yeah,
watch it, watch it now."
I heard her say it. So I actually end up trying to, writing raps and hip hop, and I came up through that era where I was always writing something, going against other little street crews and stuff like that. And then I majored in English when I went to college, and I actually had some people really give me an idea about structure, a lot of reading, a lot of writing, and I thought I was going to really just become like this author. I wanted to write, and I got really discouraged within the first few months of writing. And I said, let's put that on the shelf. But then maybe around, I'll say 12 years ago, I discovered screenwriting. And a friend of mine, Sean Sawyer, who just, published. In fact, he's coming out with a new movie now, but we'll get into that later. He's like, hey, you should really try the screenwriting. It's not 500 pages. It's 90 to 120 pages.
Right.
And I started writing and I really loved it. And I fell in love with it. And I love the idea of just being creative and telling the story. So I just wrote screenplays. And like I said, with my writing, not half of them probably are garbage. And then they always say right around like a screenplay 8, 9, or 10, you start saying, oh, this is actually something that's somebody might actually like not throw directly in the trash.
Mhm.
So I just enjoy the writing. I do most of it just for me and anybody else who gets enjoyment out of it, more the better.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
So what challenges did you discover as you went from one medium to the other? I mean, 'cause I'm sure they're not the same.
No, they're not, right. So the first thing in 2020, I was like, oh, this is my first novel. Let me put this in. And the first feedback I got back is from a guy named Traudain Northern. I think he's an apprentice. He says, why are you writing this like a screenplay? So it sounds like you're writing a screenplay here. I was like, I used to be a screenplay writer. He says, you have to change your, first you wanted me to move from third person to go to first person, things like that. But it's like, you have to begin to understand. And he's the one that encouraged me to go back and take a class. He's like, stop what you're doing, go back and take a class, learn what it means to actually write fiction. So I did a little bit of that. But that was the biggest thing, is understanding that they're written very differently. And the second piece was, a screenplay is much shorter than a novel. Like, it takes a lot longer to really get into a novel and build into the characters and really kind of, develop because people, really are interested in the characters. They want to see themselves either in somebody, either the main character or the a subplot or something like that. So really build into and develop characters. And then a little bit more into the description. And I had all these things I had to just learn. And again, most of it happened in the rewriting. I read the first time over, going, oh, okay, I got to add something more. Something else has to be added to this to make it better.
And see, we do talk a lot about that. That my favorite quote is always, can't think of his name right now, but he said the first draft is always garbage. And the writing process and the editing process are two different things. So you can get it down on paper, eventually you'll get it done. So do you think you'll continue writing books?
I do. In fact, I dedicate myself to 1,000 words a night. I know there's some master teacher that says
Good
something
for
like that.
you.
I said
And
I was
not
just
just
gonna-
during the month of November.
No, I try to dedicate myself to 1,000 words. It's still early out here. You can see the sun is still out here.
How do you manage to do that? I'm sorry. How do you manage to do that?
Right. So it's just one of those just dedications. And I heard Queen Victoria say her last sometimes it takes some time to get back into the writing, and it doesn't take as long. And I say, you know what? Sometimes it's a little bit less than 1,000. Sometimes it's a lot more, because you just get into that little section. And then I spend some time the next morning or the next time just going back and reviewing what I wrote, and just making a few of the corrections right then and there. But that's the dedication. We'll see how long it lasts, how long it sticks with. But that's what I try to stick to.
Well, that's exciting. We can't wait to. We're going to talk about this book, but we can't wait to read the next one. So,
I appreciate
that's
that.
awesome. Andrea, any questions?
Yeah, I want to know. You are an educator.
I'm an educator.
You are an educator. But
We're all educators, but that's what my degree is. We're all here to teach somebody and learn from someone.
in doing this particular book, was it the friendship that you had with the individual who had some gang affiliation that helped you with the lingo and the language of the street? Because I know when I first started reading it, and you were talking about the block being hot, and I remember being somewhere with a friend, and they said, it's time, you got to get out of the neighborhood now. He said, because the block is hot. And I thought, what is the block hot? What does that mean? What is happening?
Yeah.
So was it reference? Was it research? Was it friendship? Was it just what you knew? I mean, how were you able to weave that together so skillfully?
That is an amazing question, because I think that was some of the first feedback that I got when I first wrote it. I actually worked on and got a doctorate, and I write very much, in that type of
Mhm.
instructional, educational type. And the first read of this is like, this doesn't sound like anything a gang member would say. It was very
Okay.
precise. He says, you're going to need to go back and actually rewrite and kind of put some lingo and language that these folks would actually use and say in the dialogue, and actually in that dialogue piece. So that was some research. Some of it, I did grow up in New York City, so I know a little bit, but I'm also older, so I'm sure the language has changed from 30 years ago.
Mhm.
So some of it I might have known. And also I work with college students and I work with young,
Okay.
African American youth as well. And I have kids, so I know a little bit about the language, but a lot of it was, okay, what would this person sound like and be like? And I'm not going to say I nailed it by any means. Some people are like, oh, that's corny, but other people go like, okay, that sounds a little bit like something I can relate to. So,
Yeah. I thought you nailed it pretty good. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Let me ask you this: will we see this?
repeat that.
Since you are such
Oh, see it movie.
a good
Yes. You know where
screenplay
she's going.
writer, I want to know, am I going to see this? 'Cause
Wow, so it's interesting. The first questions that I got when I wrote this and I put it out to friends, family, and things like that, they said, "Oh, can you record it? Can you put this in an audio fashion?" I don't know if
yes.
they want to hear it first, right? And I was like, okay, let me think what that process is going to be like. But obviously, if there's a good response for this book, I would love to, because I know some directors and folks that be willing to take my coin in order to put it into a movie. I would love to be able to do that. I 100% am a fan of that, but I cannot make any promises.
Well, I really hope I will really hope that you will pursue that, because there's some authors that I like to read because I can see it.
Sure.
Ruth is one of those authors.
Mhm.
I read her books and I can see it. I can see the street corners. I can see the people. I can see all of that. And when I read yours, I could see it.
Oh, that's
So I really, really hope that you will pursue that, because I would like to.
now
Like,
I feel like there's a pressure thing.
just a little
Now I
bit.
feel like
No, we'll
there's
be
an
checking in
I feel like
to
there's
your
an
progress.
expectation. I know. Wow.
Not a lot, just a little bit. Just a
I
little
got
bit.
to get right on that. I got to send this right to my director for an essay story. I'm like, okay, hey, Andrea Hines said,
That's right.
That's right.
We could just see it on Netflix. We could see this movie. We could see it.
Between Andrea Hines and Queen Victoria, it's a lock.
Okay.
It's a lock. And there's so many plot twists and just twists and turns with these characters and the way that you weave the story. Was it something that, and we all laughed at the 1,000 words a day, because we all participated in the writing challenge that
You
they
did
do
do
in
that.
November,
Okay.
targeting those 1,000 words a day. But some people work by outlines, some people work last chapter forward. With the twists and turns and things that you had, was that the pattern and the flow that you thought it would be in the beginning, or did you find things shifting as you wrote the story?
So I know, and again, my instructors will say this, and most master teachers, and probably even the writing challenge will tell you, go ahead and outline a book. But I really like to write uninhibited. And I know you guys are all going to slap my
Wow.
hand. I just like just
Nope.
write and go wherever the typewriter, I was going to say, the pen
Mhm.
takes me, and just whatever it leads to. And then obviously there's going to be some gaps in that when you do that. I have begun to, the last book I wrote, I want to say I did outline it, but I found it very difficult to stay on track to that. Yeah, stay to that outline, because I just write. And so I think a lot of the questions that you're asking are very good. How do you move into that plot twist? And sometimes it's just my mind just working faster than I'm writing, going, oh, okay, well, if that happens, what can that next critical climax be at? And somehow I get there, and sometimes it falls down a black hole, and I have to go in and add it in.
And let me ask you one other thing. This economic model that you have in the book, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away. But
You've done some real good reading.
yeah, when I tell you I really enjoyed it, I really, really enjoyed it.
Called it an economic model, like I'm about to publish this other research.
But you know, it could very well be. That's what was intriguing to me as I was reading it, because while it is fiction, it is. You know, it kind of reminds me of watching television when they say, you know, none of these characters are real.
Right.
These are real, but the story is real. You know?
Right,
And that's the way I felt reading it. I thought I can see this happening. I can see this taking place, even though it is fiction. Have you? How do I want to say it? Have you experienced anything close to that, to the model that you wrote about?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I'll begin by saying I am not an economist. I had to do my most research on trying to figure out what, economics was. And I actually, funny enough, I loved microeconomics since I got through macroeconomics and any other, kind of economics. That's what I struggled at. So I actually had to do my most research kind of looking at that. Now, I am very much I love the idea of, people starting their own podcasts of self-business and things like that. So the idea really was stemmed from what would I see somebody who maybe struggled in high school, picked up a passion in college or community college, whatever the situation might be, and, doing something that has a larger impact on the community. So it really has said, okay, if this person was going to start a business, what would they need to know? How would they, integrate that in the community? You probably read, what type of mentors would they have? What type of professors, instructors would have to move them along? Would they have to, somehow get tied into somebody bigger than them, a bigger economic, system than them, suppliers and things like that? So that's a little bit of the idea, but I don't think I've seen this particular model. It's all kind of made up in my head, but we all get ideas from somewhere, right?
Wow.
And we all get it from somewhere,
Wow.
something along the line. So maybe I saw somebody that I didn't realize going, oh, maybe this is about that person.
Well, it's expertly done. And I really, like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. I hope to see it. And I hope this won't be your last, because I really, really enjoyed it a lot.
And I hope it's not my last visit to this show. Gosh, I'd love to be invited.
Oh, come on back.
That's right. That's right. You dare not come once and write anything else and think you're not coming back. But that's really all I have. I want to give Victoria an opportunity to ask her questions. But thank you so much for the answers that you provided, and thank you for writing such an amazing book.
Thank you.
I think it's just really, really well done. I hope my first fictional novel does as well as yours.
And it is. We're gonna keep telling her that, Ruth. And it is.
Because
it is. February 21st. First, it'll be available, and it is.
All right, writing down that date right now. Here we go. February 21st.
Yes, that's the date.
I love it. Okay.
But I love the book. I love the book, and I, my tagline is, as you can see, audience, from our smiles, get the book, get the book, get the book. This book was very intriguing. I could not put it down. I love your characters are very believable. And who is your favorite character as you were writing?
Oh gosh. Okay. So because I'm an educator, it was probably the professor, So
really,
I like the idea of mentorship. I would love it if somebody gained something from me and they was able to change.
Amen. We speaking it will
right,
be a bestseller.
right.
That's it.
So that's probably it. And it's kind of a background character. I'm not going to say I see myself, in the character, and but either way, but yeah. So I'd probably say I like that. All of my, I feel like it's probably a little bit investment. I always say I never ever write about myself or my own experiences. I like what Andrew says, like, the characters in this story are all made up. Yeah, I like that. But I always say there's a little bit and a little piece probably in every male to female, older to younger character to say, oh, what can actually come out? Just might be a little snippet of yourself. But yeah,
right.
I tend to like the characters. who's your favorite character, Victoria?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I was going to tell you.
I want to know.
I like the main character.
You like the main
I
character?
do like the main character. He is. I could see him. You know, just like Andrea said, I could see him. He is a little street, but he's trying to get a better path on life for his family. And I liked how you just developed his whole background story. But he has a mindset that he wants to do. But at the same time, the streets are calling, you know, because he has that you know, to live up to his friend Tony. But it is such, I don't want to tell too much because I really get the book and read the story. You will be as intrigued as we were reading the story. And we just, I don't know, we could just continue to talk to you all night, but we can't. But my favorite stuff, my character was that. What about you guys? Which character did you like?
For me, Jermaine.
Jermaine. Mm-hmm.
But there was something about when I do another program called When Life Speaks, and I do different categories of things in that program. Sometimes it's testimonies of triumph, stories of strength, you know, keep faith flowing and all of that. But I do have one segment called The Power of One.
Right.
So Tony was intriguing to me.
Okay.
Because he was one guy who's so influenced, and I'm gonna stop there.
Okay.
I
want them to get the book.
You all know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You know
yes.
what I'm talking
yes.
about. And just the impact that he had, that just kept going. It carried forth in whatever Jermaine was doing and the young men that he was mentoring and bringing up. You can make a difference.
Right.
You can make a difference through whatever passion you have, through whatever gift you have, through whatever talent you have. And to see how that spread amongst the community leaders and the business owners and things like that. So it was, I was glad when he surfaced because he really, okay. Get the book.
What about you, Ruth? What about you, Ruth? Who did you like, Ruth?
I'm curious.
I like Jermaine.
You did, yeah.
You know, it is one thing when I read books, I look for the likability of characters.
Yes.
You know, if you don't like them, you're not going to root for them. You know, and that's just the reality of it. We watch TV, we watch programs.
Right.
You know, if the character's not likable, you don't care what happens to them. But, you know, with Jermaine, you know, there was an obvious struggle, the obvious, you know, challenge that he was brought up in. And he was able to meet that with, I don't know if it was a level of dignity, but it was just, you know, you could root for him. And that's what I really enjoyed about it.
Good heart.
Ethics. He was an ethical guy.
Yes. And the whole story, you wrote a story that I'm it's hard for me to believe that it was just this, you made this up in your head because the story was just so believable to me. It's like I've seen myself and seen other people I know in your story. So it was just a good story.
That I like. I like you say I've seen somebody in my life or in my personal self where I've seen this person. I like
definitely. I could yeah. So I won't even go. That's a whole nother story in itself.
Yeah, you got it right. There we go.
You guys got to get the book, and I could see a part 2. I could see you know, a part 2, and I could definitely see the screenplay. But please tell our audience how they can get the book, and then how they can get in touch with you.
Okay, so my pen name, as you see my written name on the bottom of the screen, is Christopher Johnson. My pen name is Christopher K. You'll see that on the if you just type those words in Amazon, the book Spare Change will come up. So that's probably the easiest way is to pull it up on Amazon. I decided to go the self-publishing route. And if folks want to get in touch with me, I'm on IG. Probably the best way is DRCK1SYR. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook if you want to find me that way. Awesome. But that's probably the best way. I have a very common name, so I needed something a little different.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know what else to say, guys. I'm just There's nothing else I can say but get the book. Get the book. Get it.
Book. Yeah. This is definitely a winner. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
a winner.
And a great way to start our year.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
We are all smiling. My cheeks hurt.
My cheeks hurt. Yeah, I'm just so appreciative of you three ladies, wonderful, accomplished
Thank
authors,
you.
having me on the show and being so complimentary. And I'm appreciative of me in the first of 2022. It's great things to come.
That's
Great things to come.
Great things for
authors
you.
out.
It's still hard to believe this is your first novel. No, you got another one on the shelf somewhere. You just haven't published it yet, right?
Your lips to God's ears. That's what I say.
Well, it was a wonderful, wonderful story for us to have the opportunity to read. I'm glad that we can be one of the first to share
Yeah.
with an audience like this, and we are just grateful that you took time out to come on to be with us and to share with us and our listening audience. Spare change. You guys got to remember those two words: spare change. It's gonna change you. When you read it, it's gonna change
Indeed.
But it really has been wonderful. Christopher, thank you so very much for being with us tonight. And Queen Victoria and Miss Ruth, do either of you have any closing comments that you want to make tonight?
I just want to thank everybody for being with us. It's just, it feels so good just to be back. Between the sicknesses, we've had to play a couple of replays, but it's just nice to be back with everybody. And this interview tonight was why we do what we do, and it just feels good, and just a nice way to begin the week. And I'm just happy tonight. So I thank everybody for being with us. And I thank you, Bronx girls, for always being in each other's corner, and it's just beautiful. Somebody asked, what was the name of the book again? Spare Change. Spare Change.
Spare Change. And Ruth, do you have a closing comment that you want to make?
I just want to thank Christopher again for joining us on the show. We truly enjoyed your book, and we truly enjoyed having you on. And if there's anyone out there who would like to be a guest on our show, or if you know anybody, you can email us at authorsup@gmail.com.
All right. That is it for us for the evening. Christopher, if you don't mind just hanging in there a little bit after we go off the air, that would be great. And look, guys, you got to come back. Some of you have been with us long enough to know that you can expect the unexpected when you tune in to Authors Up on Sunday. So you don't.
She's saying something. She's saying something.
I'm telling you, I'm trying to tell them. And so you don't want to miss an episode. You want to be right here with us on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. because you never know what's going to happen on Authors Up. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you right back here next at 7 p.m. God bless.
Night, Bronze girls.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Night, Christopher.
Good night.